Previously on Ballz.
Fanie!
Hello, Fan.
Yes, hoe gaan het, John?
Yes, John and Darren and Simon and Kate.
Well, hello, Darren.
Hoe gaan het, meneer?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think my phone is on a setting that if I'm on the phone, they go straight to answering machine. I'll change that setting to hear the phone call coming in. That's the only thing I can think of that happened.
Fine. Don't give the batsman ammunition now.
Yeah, okay.
Don't give the batsman ammunition. We'll just say that the phone was offline and Vodacom didn't have any signal or MTN.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. How's it going, buddy?
Nee, wat lekker. Dankie. Is goed om jou weer te. Hoe gaan het met jou?
Nee, baie goed, dankie. En ek sien dit gaan alles goed met jou. Nog steeds. Hoe lank is jou TV-program nou op die lug?
Ja, it's probably 600-700 shows already. 15 years plus.
Ja, dis 15 jaar en is net na Boots and All. Ek dink dit is die tweede of derde show wat hulle begin het daar.
Dis reg, ja.
Ja, congrats on that, man. Dit gaan goed, hè?
Yeah, it's like we're looking at the ratings all the time, and most of the time we've got 6-7 times the viewership, which is fantastic.
Dis goed, en is BVP op Kyknet en dit gaan ook op SuperSport as well.
Ja, daar is so 5-6 uitsaai sessies, maar hulle maak ons 'n hele klomp ekstra Saterdagmiddag, Vrydagmiddag en Sondag en so aan.
Dis goed, dis lekker.
You picked up a lot of those Boots and All viewers.
I don't think so.
And the other thing is that we nearly 20...
The batsmen still love the rugby.
Ja, altyd. En hulle cricket ook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's almost 20 years, since that historic trip back to Australia where, we remember Sydney and all of those times. Geez, time has flown,
It's amazing, honestly, I had a few phone calls from Australia where the guys talk about it, and it's quite a solid memory bank test match, if you want to call it that. The losing and then winning, and the Aussies winning and then losing. So it puts it in a different category.
Yeah.
It probably puts it more into an emotional category than a winning category.
Yeah.
And that made that test match so popular.
Yeah, and I mean, our tours over there, the memorable factor, I mean, we were talking the other, a couple of times to some of the cricket guys we've been speaking to, and when you talk about, this is what makes Test cricket still the pinnacle for me anyway, and for a lot of people, is, you try and remember, I mean, no one remembers one-day internationals that guys or teams played, or results of one-day series anymore. T20's kind of clouded that as well, but geez, you think back on the Aussie tours that we've had, your tour particularly, and then of course that last tour when we went there in the mid-2000s when we showed such guts and character to go and win over there. Those things still stick out and you still remember them just like that.
I think you live so many more hours with the test match than a one-day game. I remember playing a lot of one-day games where there was a one-run margin.
Yeah.
But if you ask me now when and where and against who, I probably won't be able to tell you.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
when it comes to test matches that was close games, or nostalgic test matches for that matter, you end up pulling it out the memory bank so much easier, because there was 5 days of 15 sessions of attendance in your minds, and that makes it different. I think the memory bank is so much stronger on it. And yes, we did come back well. I mean, it's 20 years after isolation. They were number one in the world. They had the Mark Wars and those guys that was number 1 and 2 in the world in the batting lineup, and they had McDermott that was right up in the top 3, and we took them on with a team that probably had more University of Life degree than cricket ability, if I want to call it that. Do you understand that? I mean,
absolutely.
That makes sense. We were all 29 to 33 years old. All of us had so many county cricket seasons under our belt, plus bench edges, local cricket under our belt, plus the domestic cricket that was probably the strongest in the world in those days, because the players were always available to play, not playing international cricket. And we took that onto the field, and we played a tough game. I would like to say that I reckon that today's teams probably would lose that test match. But because of the proactiveness of solid minds that's between 29 and 35 years old, we probably pulled it through and got back into that game. Not with ability, but with chutzpah.
Yeah. And absolutely, there were some key moments there where, some of those guys that you talk about actually turned that, you're talking about Sydney now, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we had key moments of some of the guys, as you say, those wise heads actually just pulled that test towards South Africa. I mean, people talk about that last day, but we mustn't forget about those 4 wickets, including Alan Borders that went down just before close the night before.
Yeah, there were 4 wickets. I took all 4, but you must also remember Pat Simcox is 38 overs for 2 runs over. that actually gave us a chance to actually carry on in the test match. He played a pivotal role as an anchorman bowler that didn't go for much runs. I think in that innings he bowled, any case, he went for like 2 overs per run. That was important. Jonty Rhodes' knock was important. He was the only youngster that did well in the test match.
Yeah.
And yes, the wickets that came later wasn't really because of the wicket that was breaking up or the fifth day kind of wicket.
Pressure.
It was more slow wicket. It was a slow wicket that you could bat properly on.
Yeah.
And they were too conservative. Martin that got the blame for the loss of the test match. He was probably the best batsman of the lot, to be honest. He kept going and he kept one end up, and the other guys were losing their wickets because they tried to play shots, and he ended up playing a bad shot too. But the fact is, they tried to win the game in singles, and they shouldn't have.
Yeah, and also don't forget Alan Donald's contribution. Not with the ball necessarily, but wasn't he the guy that stayed with Jonty so that we could get that 100-and-something runs ahead?
That's right, and until today I haven't heard the end of that either.
I'm surprised you haven't heard the end of Simcox's 2 runs and over either.
Yeah, that's always there in any case.
Yeah.
All right. It was a massive tour in comparison with what we see these days. And talking about, and you alluded to it, the memory bank.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of emotional games that one remember, and it's funny how it's 99% of the time test matches.
Yeah. Well, the other one that I remember clearly, which people don't talk about anymore, I mean, there was this whole Darryl Hare. He was the original Bryce Lawrence, if you remember back in those days. But
he pulled the Clint Eastwood on us, didn't he?
He
shot 7 oaks in half an hour.
Yeah, and you were a big part of that, because I remember you batted through a session and a half. I think you guys you were just trying to get to drinks, and we were looking at actually saving that test match.
Yeah.
And that's when he started firing batsmen left, right, and centre.
I don't think a lot of people can remember it, but myself as a fast bowler would like to remember it. I was a night watchman always when something went wrong. So I wasn't scared of short bowling, and I could handle it properly, and I probably ducked better than anybody else. But the fact is that I went in as night watch the night before, survived, and then myself and Peter Kirsten bat through the morning session, through the afternoon session, and over before drinks. I lost my wicket, and honestly, at painkillers, I was absolutely knackered with painkillers. And the doc with the injection said to me, "I can't inject you anymore." When I went off again every half an hour for an injection, he said, "You're so full of cocaine with the injections I'm giving you, the anesthetics that you can't take anymore." So then I went over to painkiller pills. And I batted with a broken thumb that shocked the bat every single time, shocked me rather, the bat shocked me rather, and luckily I kept on going. But it's amazing, when I lost my wicket, Darryl Hare decided, listen, his home team needs an advantage, and he obviously followed through.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of people forget about that.
We could have, and not only forgetting about that, we could have won the series.
If you got the draw there, you would have.
Cinderella, the Cinderella side beating the best team in the world, and it was amazing. The media, the photographs of all the 20-year-old pictures of Pollock and the boys standing in the slips warming up, where they put us in the same place with the same pavilion look in the back. You remember that ground was in Melbourne, the first game was the old Olympic Games stadium. I think it was 1956 when the Olympic Games was there, and it's the same stadium.
Yeah.
So they tried to reenact the same photographs of old to the new ones, and they put it in the press. So the press was making a huge thing about it, and the anticipation obviously was so much more from our side, what to expect and how to handle it.
Yeah. And there's so many memories, when you had a packed ground at Melbourne and a packed ground at Sydney. Everyone was so excited. South Africa were back in Australia again. Sadly now we probably won't play in those grounds for many years because of the whole. We want to keep our Christmas program here, so that means we'll always be going to Brisbane, maybe Hobart or Adelaide or Perth to play tests over there now, as we're going to do this time.
Yeah, we're starting with the Gabba.
Yeah.
That's a much quicker wicket than the Wacker was, which is the Perth match. And we're missing out on Sydney this time around. We're playing the Wacker right last.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it works. But it's a strange tour. You're so used to one-day cricket with tours, and this time around they've only got three test matches. I think Sri Lanka is touring after that, but it would have been 10 times better if we could have taken the boys on a proper Boxing Day test match and the rest. or in South Africa for that matter. But we've got black caps here when that happens.
Yeah, playing a T20 game on Boxing for the Boxing Day test. It's
it's amazing.
That's not great. But I mean, do you think we should back down and say, look, when it is the time to go to Aussie? Because I mean, so many players. I mean, that Melbourne Boxing Day test and the Sydney test for New Year is such a special occasion for a player to be able to play there. We're saying, look, we have a tradition with Durban and Cape Town. What do you feel about it? Should we back down, and when it is our time to go there, go and play Melbourne and Sydney as opposed to not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back to if not back, but really the nostalgic test matches that one needs to play, or the most important ones, you've got Lords, and you've got Calcutta, and the Boxing Day test match of Melbourne.
Yeah.
Those are the three grounds that every player would like to tick.
Yeah.
And it's a pity, especially against Australia, that we don't do that. And it's strange that over a festive season, that's not happening with our team. Well, I mean, in our situation now, we've got the Black Caps here, and it would have been 10 times better to have had the Aussies here.
But the Aussies won't come. They said we're not giving up, and you can understand they get 90,000 people there. So
no, they can't. It's such a money-making thing these days. It's such a business-like dealing and wheeling behind the scenes. That I can actually understand that, but it's silly that our boys were not strong enough to actually follow through and say that's bullshit. Let's sort it out. Let's have a proper tour.
Fanie, do you think that the Australians are still our ultimate foe, or has that changed over time and with the rise of England, perhaps?
No, not at all. I mean, the ultimate foe was the West Indies in the 70s, early 80s, and then obviously it moved over to Australia, and they will stay like that for many years to come. I think England's playing hot and cold cricket. Their team changes all the time. They're playing so many 3-day, 4-day games that every week there's another player in form. So they're always going to be hot and cold, and with all the cricket they play, there's always going to be injuries. So I think Australia, with their system, their nets, their coaches, that's old players, and I'm talking about 10, 15 of the ex-players that's involved in coaching in Australia, they're going to be the ultimate. And just on a good rainy day, or good rainy year, if you want to call it, we will have a team that will compete against them quite easily. Otherwise, we're probably going to struggle.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they've got a bowling unit coming through now. That Mitchell Starc looks impressive. He's bending the ball. And I mean they've got 4 or 5 quickies. Yeah, he's very impressive. They've got a few there now coming through. So we must hit them now, because I think in a couple of years' time they're going to have a really solid bowling attack.
Yeah, I'm quite happy that Cummins is not playing. The poor oaf has got a back strain again. He started with his back injury against us. Then he went to England for an ODI series after he was a whole summer off. He went to the ODIs, and England got injured immediately. A side strain, went back, played in UAE against Pakistan, survived there the one-day games. And the poor oaf messed himself up again in the back in this last championship league.
Yeah.
So, typical a young bowler. 19 years old, 18 years old is way too young to be a test player. So we'll probably see Patterson and Johnson. Where's Johnson? He's
off the boil.
Into the ground. It's absolutely amazing. He was such a wonderful bowler too. It's strange how they change. So yes, at this stage, even with they had the wicketkeeper that's 43 test matches old, he's not selected. They've got another guy in his place. So they are chopping and changing, and then they've got the old guillotine, or what do you call it? A guillotine rather, over the guy's necks that's the old boys.
Yeah.
It's strange if you think about it. I mean, Vincent Barnes, that's made a lot of stupid comments in the past, to be honest. He said that hulle so 'n bietjie lank in die tand. So average age 31. Our average age in our batting lineup is 30.
Yeah.
But we've got much more experience, obviously, on amount of test matches played, and hopefully that will play a role in the specific test match.
All right. Do you think we're going to win the series then?
I reckon we've got the best chance ever to beat them convincingly, and hopefully we're going to follow through. And honestly, the whole choking exercise that's been used in ODI cricket and T20 cricket, I reckon our boys are much better at Test cricket, and they are much better balanced side in Test cricket. We've got the best team that I've ever seen. I've never seen the boys in the 70s play, which I believe was probably the best. But we've got a solid side now. One of those where you play against the boys of Transvaal in the old days, where you don't want to get the one oak out because the neck oak is better than the one coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had Mackenzie batting at 6, the guys crapped on me from the Northern Transvaal side if I got Polaka. He said, what the hell are you doing? It's better than the one you don't know. So it was interesting, and I think it's the same scenario that Archie's going to be buddy thinking, we shouldn't get this out. Let's rather get him and stay him and make him get runs rather.
Yeah, brilliant
It's
stuff.
interesting. So hopefully Amla and the boys will come off. It's wonderful to think about it, that we've got for the first time, I reckon, if not history, that we've got a keeper in the top 6, which means that your side is 15 to 20% stronger by picking an extra batsman or extra bowler in a test match. It's not playing against another team with 12 players.
Yeah, depending on conditions, it gives you that luxury, which is great. But
Absolutely.
I mean, on the whole, AB as a keeper for the Proteas. I mean, when we spoke to him here. And we were talking to him about the back problems he's having. He's obviously doing a lot of work, playing a lot of cricket, and he's saying that he's probably, which is kudos to him. It's a complete opposite to a Kevin Peterson scenario. He's saying that he's probably going to have to look at maybe tossing in the IPL, which is a lot of money for a guy to have to turn away so that he can focus on playing for his country and make that choice, because otherwise the stresses and strain.
Ponting has done it.
Yeah, well, Ponting's another one. So but look, I mean, Ponting's had a long career, so AB's still got many years ahead of him, and to give up IPL when he's one of the big $2 million guys is a hell of a move for him. So, do you think that he should toss in the keeping for the Proteas and just focus on the batting, and let's look at a youngster like we did with Bouch moving forward, get him in early?
What I will do, if I was head of selectors, I will force him to be the Test match keeper, but I will not use him in the one-dayers and the T20s as a keeper.
Okay.
The option of having a keeper in your top 6, Darren, is 10 times better than probably having a Shane Warne in your side.
Or it's like Adam Gilchrist. I mean, there he comes in, smacks it around, open it, and gives him that option. Gave him that option as well.
That's right, but he didn't do that in Test cricket. He wasn't number 7 in Test cricket, but to have a guy of that quality to bat number 7 was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But let's use this edge. Let's keep on going with it, and hopefully we can look after him. T20 cricket, the one-day cricket, is that as hard on your body than to be a keeper in those than in Test cricket? I don't know. They will find out, and I do hope that our selectors are strong enough to say, listen, my boy, we've got an edge here. And I reckon when he takes over as captain, he's probably going to say, listen, I've got a better chance of surviving and having a good career as a captain if I'm the keeper here, because we've got an extra option. So hopefully that's going to happen soon.
All right, who's our long-term prospect as far as keeping goes, just finally?
Ja, Quinton de Kock, my maat, is ongelooflik goed. Die ouetjie is $1 miljoen. Hy is seker die beste wat ek nog gesien het wat kolwerk betref in die 15. When I saw Cullen in the first time, I thought, geez, like this out can play. He's got looks, he's got flair, he's got timing. He can actually lift the ball over the mid-wicket fielders easier than anybody else. This little Quinton de Kock's doing exactly the same. I'll put it to you this way: if I was head of selectors, I would have had him in the system already to practice with the boys and to try and get him to understand international cricket, get used to the touring and all the terrible things that happens with it on tour. The time off that can influence your career. So let him get used to it, and then throw him into the deep end soon. Because if he can come through in the next 2 years, we're gonna have him taking probably Dumini's place at number 6 or 7. Or Rudolph's place, for that matter. Yeah. He is just absolutely wonderful. Then we'll have Fanie de Villiers just as a batsman, and that would be even better.
Didn't we do that with Bouch? I mean, you'll remember, didn't we? Because everyone was talking about Nick Pothis and Wendell Bossinger, and then suddenly Bouch was put in the side, and he turned out to be a great long-term decision.
Yeah, but he wasn't a top 6 batsman, though. He was a guy that was good enough to bat when the bowlers were tired, when they came through for their third and second spell. Second and third spell, if not the fourth. If you had to bat him in the top 6, he probably would have got out easily. Yeah. So you need to understand the limitations of a batsman. A top 6 is a top 6, and a keeper batsman is a keeper batsman, and there's a huge difference in quality when it comes to new ball bowling.
Would Bouch agree with you on that one?
Yeah, he will. I think he definitely will. I think if you play at that level, you know your limitations.
Yeah. Fanie, it's always lucky to chat to you, and some really good insights there. Thanks for giving us some time this afternoon to chat to us on Ballz Radio.
Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at Glendale, Fanie.
Yeah, see you there, my boy.
All right.
And Friday at Harton.
I'll be there.
Thanks, Fanie.
Cheers,
Tot
bye-bye.
ziens meneer, bye bye. There we go, Fanie de Villiers. Nicey stuff.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on balls.co.za. Balls.co.za.